Radical Light was commissioned by the Los Angeles Philharmonic for a Sibelius festival. They were playing all the Sibelius symphonies and maybe one or two tone poems and I think a set of songs at some point. And they wanted to insert pieces not by Sibelius here and there. And so I was given the assignment of going between Sibelius 4th and Sibelius 7th. Not the most comfortable position I've ever been in. I mean, Sibelius 7th is something like my top piece, pretty close. And the 4 is not bad. In the end, I had a mental image of Sibelius 7 in my head. What would it be like to write about 20 minutes that never stops, but that goes on a huge journey without ever turning any sharp corners or showing your passport on any border crossings, right? But I never looked at or listened to the piece for a couple of years, so that I had a kind of imaginary Sibelius 7 in my head. Then I wasn't trying to copy it, but I was trying to learn how do you do these dovetailings and these tricks of Sibelius to make it appear that you have a unbroken motion over this long period of time. It sounds like a lot of things, but it is a tone poem, I guess, and in fact, about what we don't know. The Strauss tone poems, some of them, he would have been just as happy to take the titles off. Some of them have sheep noises and things in them, but some of them are just music, really, If you took the program away from Death and Transfiguration, you don't lose too much. It's a pretty good piece, and it's really about the notes. This is a piece which is atmospheric, which passes from very slow, very mysterious music to very sparkling scherzo music to a kind of very romantic, slow music, Brucknerian thing I can't even describe. And so it really, in that sort of Sibelius way, is a journey with a kind of improbable range of, destinations on it, which are meant to add up into one large emotional experience. Well, the piece Radical Light, I've more or less said it's not about anything. It's about musical relationships. It's about emotional resonance, but I don't have names for these emotions. So why such a fascinating title? It does seem to be about something. And the fact is, in this case, I wrote the piece as a piece, and it was time to deliver it, and it still had no title. I stumbled then on a poem by my favorite poet, a man who was a friend of mine, a colleague at Cornell, called A.R. Ammons, Archie Ammons. And he has what turns out to be a fairly famous poem called Radical Light. I'm not quite sure what the poem is about even now, but it sounds good. And the phrase sounded right for the piece, and it stuck.